Hello, welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I'm Russell Crowe and I like to fight.
And I'm Gary. And today we're going to review and discuss Virtuosity, which came out in 1995 from director Brett Leonard. Iain, why don't you give us the synopsis?
Well, the story follows Parker Barnes, played by Denzel Washington. Parker is a prisoner who has been imprisoned after his family were killed by a terrorist and he accidentally killed a reporter and her cameraman. He has volunteered to be put into VR to go up against Sid 6.7, played by Russell Crowe, who's an amalgamation of all the psychopathic people in the world to train police officers. When Sid gets a body into the real world, Parker is the only man that can bring him down.
Parker Barnes is the best cop I've ever worked with. And he's the only one that even got close to Sid 6.7 in virtual reality.
I can't put a convicted murderer on the street.
Well, if you want to catch Sid, I'm afraid you don't have a choice.
This came out in the mid-90s when there was a wave of sort of cyberpunk-inspired films.
Yeah.
Technology had reached a point where CGI was being used in films a lot more, and the advent of the internet and the possibilities of the future leading towards perhaps the holodeck was starting to be explored in film a lot more due to the fact that they could with CGI. The director for this film, Brett Leonard, previously had worked on Lawnmower Man in 1992 with Pierce Brosnan and explored the idea of VR being used to accelerate sort of brain levels. And eventually I love the idea of the fact that it explores taking consciousness out of the mind and putting it into a virtual world permanently.
Kind of Matrixy.
Kind of Matrixy, yeah. Obviously all pre-Matrix, all these films all leading up to, you know, the culmination, the pinnacle of that inspired 90s. Lawnmower Man is not a good film. It is a guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
But I really love the concepts and the themes of it.
Yeah.
The same director, obviously making terrible movie after terrible movie, would end up his career working on TV, working on Highlander, straight to DVD movies.
Yeah. He jumped in at a point where, computers were being utilised a little bit more. You know, especially with Lawnmower Man. Yeah, it's not a great film, but I remember at the time when it came out, it was like, oh my God, look at all these special effects, look at what they can do. You know, this is Lawnmower Man was pre-Jurassic Park, with their computer effects. But they were all awful. I know. I remember a lot of people were saying to me I needed to watch Lawnmower Man, so me, stupidly, around about that time, I saw Lawnmower Man 2 first. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And then went back to watch Lawnmower Man, and I was like, what the fuck is this? But we get to Virtuosity, and I have to put this out there now. Is there ever a bad Denzel Washington movie?
Yeah.
Which is
Virtuosity.
Now you say that. I had so much fun with this film.
I'm not surprised.
It's silly but fun at the same time. I mean, the whole concept behind it is completely batshit crazy. But I went with that because of the whole opening sequence.
Yeah.
You know, they are. We follow Parker and his partner Donovan dressed up as police. I want to say police officers, but I don't like their uniforms. I had a horrible time trying to work out if this film was in the future or the present or whatever.
It's got to be the future.
Yes, well, I was hoping, but when they go to the real world, it doesn't look anything like the future. But they're walking around this virtual world, and I'm like, wow, this is very Matrixy. You know, all the guys, everybody, even the women, are all dressed in suits. Businessmen, they're all walking in certain ways and certain lines. And it takes me back to that scene in The Matrix where you have Neo and Morpheus walking down the streets with all the people walking past them. But they go into the sushi restaurant. Is that the first time we've ever seen an emoji in a movie with that smiley face on the side of the wall? But they go in there and it just immediately, within the first 5-10 minutes of the film, it turns into a massive shootout with Russell Crowe. I like Russell Crowe. I try not to. I really didn't think I was going to enjoy him in this. When Gary said we were reviewing it, I wikied it, and I'm like, oh, it's 1995. You know, this is before they did any of their great epics, so their acting's not going to be.
Well,
awesome.
yeah, I mean, if you look at the DVD cover or the poster for the film, Russell Crowe's not even on there.
Yeah.
His name's not even on there.
Yeah.
This is, pre-Gladiator.
Russell Crowe takes this Sid 6.7, who is, like I said, it's a combined computer program of all the most psychopathic minds in the world you can find, all shoved into one computer program to train police officers. And of course he's going to be fucking insane. But, we watched Denzel go in there with Costas Mandela, who I sat there, I was like, I know you! I know your face! Who are you? And it's Hoffman from the Saw series. I was like, it's another favourite of mine. That's good. And Russell Crowe fucks them up.
I'm just gonna do a little performance piece with your partner. I'll be back to do my solo with you.
Russell Crowe ends up hiding behind one of the waitresses or one of the customers.
Yeah.
And Denzel's got the gun at him, and he's just like, you know what, this is a VR,
Yeah.
right? So he just shoots through the woman to shoot at Russell Crowe. It's like, well...
But it's like people say to him when he came out, it's just like, why did you shoot that person? But it's fake. You didn't know it was fake. I'm like, this is Denzel Washington. He always knows what's fake.
But to add some tension to the virtual world, if you die in the virtual world, you could die in the real world.
Yeah.
And because of this glitch in the system, the corporation decides to shut down the VR training for police officers because it's too dangerous, even though they're testing it on criminals.
Well, yeah, but they don't want people to die, and they've got these. They explain it that they've got these things in place to stop people from believing that they're going to die in the real world. But Sid, being as smart as he is as a computer program, messed with them a bit. So when Donovan believed he was being electrocuted, when he came into the real world, he still believed that, and his mind wasn't able to process it all, and he just died. And you're like, well, we don't care about him, actually. We just care about Parker Barnes.
I suppose.
So Parker ends up going back to prison. I love his hair.
Yeah.
It's like I've gone from blue leather suit to now crazy Denzel Washington hair. And I'm like...
And the facial hair. I was like, okay, so criminal.
Yeah, bad guy.
Okay.
But I like the fact that it doesn't explain to you at the beginning why. It just tells you that he's a prisoner, but he's well respected by everybody else and hated by all the criminals in the prison because he's an ex-cop. And I'm like... okay, so this is going to slowly unfold as we go. Yeah, I can get behind that. I like that little fight sequence with
in the prison.
In the prison, that was a well-designed corridor of showing all the prisoners behind
all the silhouettes
doors.
of them. Yeah,
and then the guy just comes along and he's got the knife, and you can tell that Denzel doesn't want to fight him, but he has to defend himself. And then he's got him on the floor, strangling him like, come get your boy! Come get him! I'm still here! I'm like, yeah, boy!
I want everybody to take a good look! I ain't going nowhere! I ain't going nowhere! I'm right here! Come get your boy! Come get your boy! Come on and get me! Come on and get me!
Though back in the VR labs, Sid 6.7 is... talking with his creator.
Yes.
And the creator's just like, yeah, we've just been given the go-ahead to turn you off. You're going to be deleted. And Sid's like, but I am as a god, and I find you as my creator puny.
Yeah.
Get me out of here. And so the guy's like, all right. I'm just like, you fucking weasel. Like,
that's
why?
it.
Like, your pet project's being shut down? Like, work on another project. Like, you've created a psychopath that's actually killing people. Like, stop.
Yeah, but I felt that there was a bit of a gay tension between Daryl and Sid.
I didn't really see it there.
You didn't see that there was that part. Daryl brings in Clyde, played by Kevin J. O'Connor, who's created nano bots to make an android body. And Clyde is wanting to bring Sheila 3.2 into the real world. And when Clyde disappears, Russell Crowe comes on screen and starts slapping this girl's ass and putting her all into these different positions. And he says to the girl, "Do you like that?" And she goes, "Mmm." And he turns to Daryl and he says, "I bet you like that too." And Daryl's just looking. And that's where I was like, okay, dude, you got a little problem with your pet project there. You know, you shouldn't be doing that.
Do you like this, Daryl?
But they convince Clyde to create a nano body for what he believes is going to be Sheila 3.2, which is actually, though, Sid 6.7. That whole birth sequence. Why did it have to be an egg? And at what point did he not realise it was Sheila when this bloke stood out at the egg? Because as soon as Russell Crowe stood up and his body started taking shape and he's completely butt naked, Clyde goes,
Sheila? No, I'm Evers.
Yeah. And then it comes as no surprise that Sid kills Clyde.
yeah.
I was like,
And Daryl runs off into hiding.
Yeah. And now Sid is loose. Now, this is at the point where the film just chucked me under the bus.
Really?
Yeah. Because I was like, all semblance of tension, of getting invested in this story was just gone. As soon as I was sat there and I was like, you know what? I would rather watch or rewatch Demolition Man.
Yes.
Because now this is where the plot just gets stupid. Where they're like, Sid's escaped. How about we get the one man we just sent back to prison who killed him in the VR world?
Yeah, get him out.
Yeah, because he's the only police officer on the planet that can stop this escaped VR lunatic.
Do you want to hear something funny? Is that I'd actually watched this over The Hidden because that was how I was feeling. This cop chasing around this
The Hidden
weird
is
unhuman
so much
creature.
better
No,
than this.
no. This was so much more. This was so much more fun for me because of the Denzel Russell Crowe back and forth. You know, when Russell Crowe gets out there, he is just he's enjoying everything. It's like when he comes out of that egg and he's like, "Whoa, gravity!" And it's like, yeah, he's learning this stuff. He goes into that man and woman's home. He kills them. You don't see what he does to them, which I think is a bit of a shame. But then he's just stood there in the mirror, just looking at himself like, "Hey, yeah, I'm pimp as fuck." But on top of that, we're getting the backstory to Parker. You know, they're investigating the programming for Sid 6.7 and they realise that Sid has a part of Matthew Grimes' mind in there. And Matthew Grimes was the terrorist that killed Parker's family.
But not only does he just have that part of him, he seems to be dominated by this Matthew Grimes person, which is why it is Demolition Man 2.0.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing is, it's also this because this is like 2 years after Demolition Man and about 4 years after Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Yeah.
And it's just replicating that, you know?
Yeah, it is, but it's doing it in
a really poor way.
It's
really
poor
cheap.
way. Yeah, I love the fact that Denzel had a metal arm. They don't explain any of the science behind it. That, you know, you see why he loses his arm because he goes to rescue his family in the past from Matthew Grimes. They explode and he gets his arm blown off. But then he carries on walking in this insane state and shoots fucking everybody in his path and then accidentally kills the reporter behind him.
Which is hence the prison sentence.
Yeah. But we've got such a great lineup in this film as well. And that's what also kept me invested.
I will say that the amount of celebrities from A to C list that you'll recognise in this film is fantastic.
Yeah.
We even have that guy.
That guy.
It's been a while since we've seen that guy, but he's sure to appear
How
everywhere.
can you hate a film with that guy in? You can't. That guy just is just that guy.
That guy.
I love the fact we had William Forsythe in it as well, playing William Cochran.
The thing is, I'm just like, I've seen The Rock. And his sole purpose in that film is to go and find a convict to go on a mission. I'm like, do you do anything else for the FBI?
Well, yeah, Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead. He was a
Devil's Rejects.
Yeah,
as well.
Devil's Rejects. Well, he's a good actor, but I just like watching him on screen. You know, because he's one of those back characters that does everything he can to make his character work, which kind of boosts the backstory for like Denzel Washington or Russell Crowe. And so I get behind those. We've got a very young Kaylee Cuoco from The Big Bang Theory playing Karen Carter, who is Madison Carter's daughter. Now, Madison Carter is played by Kelly Lynch, who was in Cocktail and Roadhouse. And I'm pretty sure she was a bit of a 80s kind of...
Yeah.
I want to say heartthrob, but that's more of a guy thing. And as soon as you see her daughter, you're like, bet you the daughter gets involved at some point.
I hated this setup early on when she sat there talking with Parker.
Yeah.
And Parker's just like, can I take notes? I'm like, what? And then she passes him the pencil and paper, and their hands touch, and I was just like, oh, fuck off, movie. Let me guess, she doesn't have a husband, but she has a daughter, and now I was like, oh, fuck off.
But we don't care about that stuff, do we? We're not supposed to. That's just filler. You know, we're supposed to just get down to the nitty-gritty, the fight sequences between Parker and Russell Crowe. And Russell Crowe ends up going to a club. Oh my god! I think I would have thrown up if I'd been in that club back in. It's
pretty
95.
psychedelic.
Fucking the TV screens, the music. I'm like, I don't go out now just because I'm too old for it. But I'm looking at it and I'm like, who the fuck enjoyed this place? You must have all been on a lot of cocaine back then to actually try and enjoy this.
Well, with Tracy Lords as your centerpiece,
yeah,
it's no surprise that it's quite a few people in attendance.
I was very surprised she still had her clothes on.
Yeah, me too.
But Russell Crowe walks in there and he's looking at everybody and he's enjoying himself on screen. And I started to, understand his character a bit more, that he loves the audience. He loves to be watched. And I started to see a bit of the Joker in him as well.
I saw that as well. I was just like, this film feels like a 1960s Batman. Russell Crowe almost plays every iteration of the Joker we've ever seen.
Yeah, he's laughing his ass off. He's having fun. He takes these people hostage. And then what's even better is he records them all screaming and concocts his own symphony with this weird Existenz music DJ box.
And so, the police actually send in some officers to go and arrest him. And
they all get killed.
I was like, oh, okay, so that's why we need Barnes.
Yeah. And Barnes, Barnes got stopped by a broken down truck, but decides to run the rest of the way there. And I was like, I didn't realise he had bionic legs as well. But he comes in there and he just starts fucking shooting. I like that. When he walked in, I was just like, oh God, I hope he really just starts shooting him. And he did. There was no long-winded conversational piece. There was just, I'm going to shoot you because you need to be destroyed. But Sid's body is constructed by these nanobots that eat glass and can rejuvenate him. So there was always this kind of, he will get injured, but then he will run away, re-heal himself, and then just go back and do it. And once again, it was like the whole Batman aspect for me again. He captures him, locks him away, Joker escapes, blah, blah, blah. They just keep going through this dance. But it was when they got to the UFC fight that I was just like, all right, now you're just fucking gone crazy. Because he did that backflip. And just landed flat on his back and was just like, okay, I'm fine. And just gets back up again.
I did like at least one bit of sort of continuity there where, you have the ring announcer, the Ready to Rumble guy.
Yeah, that's Michael Buffer from WCW.
Of course, yep. And he keeps yelling at the camera control editors to switch the channel back to the fight because they've been killed and they've left the camera on this attractive woman.
Yeah.
To which, of course, Sid kind of kills her boyfriend by throwing him into off the balcony.
Yeah.
Before trying to vampire bite her neck.
Yeah.
Before he does that jump into the arena. And then I was like, okay, maybe he's going to have a fight against one of these fight, one of these.
Yeah, Ken Shamrock's there. He could have fought Ken Shamrock.
Right, but no.
No, he doesn't.
No, because Barnes turns up almost immediately.
Well, Barnes at this point has realised that he needs the audience, and they saw it at this mall recording that he was watching the fight, and they say that the audience will just start getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and this is where they realise that Matthew Grimes' personality is the most dominant one. But yeah, they just end up fucking chasing him. And he gets onto the train.
Yeah.
And he
takes a woman hostage.
There. And Barnes looks like he shoots. And looks like the woman gets killed. And
like we saw set up at the beginning.
Yeah, but it's actually changed. They do an autopsy and they realise that the bullet had come through her back. So it was actually Sid that shot her as Barnes fired at the same time. So they need Barnes back. Because he's the only guy that can stop Sid. You've got to remember that. He's the only guy who can stop Sid.
Well, that is it. That was when I was just looking at the dialogue that these characters were giving, and I was just like, oh, you didn't even try. No. You didn't even try, because she literally says, you're locking up Barnes.
Sid 6.7 is still out there. You're locking up the one man who may be able to stop him.
And why are they arresting him? They've got the body there. They can see the exit wound was on her chest, and they're like, nah, Barnes still did it because you didn't see what happened. Maybe she turned around and got shot. And so whilst they put him in the back of the police wagon, the rest of the FBI, and we haven't mentioned that, Nurse Ratched is in this film.
It's the commissioner.
Yeah, and I was just like, this woman, she's an incredible actress, and you've given her nothing to do.
No, she had a great sequence. I like that part against Denzel at the beginning where Denzel says to her, so what you're telling me is you're going to release me, stick this bomb inside stick this tracker in my neck, and send me out against this killer. For what? And she just looks at him, she goes, yeah, your freedom. And I'm like, boom, you got told, Denzel. You got told by Nurse Ratched that this is what you're doing. And it's the way that she keeps walking around with that guy, and he's trying to defend himself, like, well, this is what we're doing. And she just keeps looking at him like, don't be such a flid. And I'm like, yeah, don't. Because I remember her from Invaders from Mars with Toby Hooper, where she eats the frog. That woman scares me. Sid rescues Barnes from the back of the police wagon and explains to him that the tracker in his neck also has a poison capsule in it, and that if he tries to escape, they're going to kill him. So what's he going to do? How is he going to stop him? And fucks off. And it's at this point that Dr. Carter explains to William Forsythe's character that this is what's going on. And William Forsythe just walks into the prison and just fucking shoots up all their security stuff and just goes, yeah, anybody using this chair? And smashes it into the screen. Which now gives Parker the chance to chase down Sid, who has taken over a television studio and turned it into Death TV, where he's just going to get people to call in about how and give him money, I suppose, or an audience to how he's going to kill these people. But he's also got Dr. Carter's daughter tied up somewhere, and she's got 2 hours or she's going to blow up. And I'm like, oh, the tension is on. How is this going to end?
I felt like it was just such cheap manipulation by the director and the writers to make you feel, worried for this girl. And, I will say that Kelly Lynch did a good enough reaction to finding her daughter on the screen that I actually felt sorry for her.
Yeah.
I still didn't feel anything for Barnes this entire film. He's grieving over his wife and child, but I didn't feel anything for him.
He's not grieving. He's done his grieving. If Barnes could have his way, because he knows he killed those 2 people accidentally. If Barnes had his way, to me, he would have just stayed locked up in his cell, just doing nothing, But they've released him, so in his mind, he is trying to stop Sid, but also he's trying to get vengeance on Matthew Grimes. And so he's able to enact that. I know that the whole, like you said, the whole setup between the family stuff was a bit cliche, but they didn't play on that too much. There was no kissing, there was no loving.
In the original script, there was.
Oh, well,
and it was literally Denzel Washington that it was for completely different reason.
Right.
Denzel Washington dropped them kissing at the climax of the film.
Yeah,
because he felt that the film would get poor box office returns if there was an interracial kiss.
Hey, whoa, racism.
It's nothing to do with race. It's the fact that these characters are totally different, and
Racism.
they're just here because of the situation. To force them together and go, now they can make a new family,
Yes.
is just garbage.
But at least Denzel saw that, and that's
yes,
I
well,
and it,
I don't know if he saw that. He saw it as a race thing.
Yeah, but I didn't. With the film, it wasn't in there, so it wasn't.
Yeah, so I
wasn't placed.
I actually will praise the film for having the two leads not together at the end. I really like that.
I like the fact as well that even when he was talking with the little girl, it wasn't like he was trying to be her new dad, and she wasn't seeing him as this new dad. You know, I got from him as a parent. I got from him that he cared for her because she was Dr. Carter's daughter, same as he would care for his daughter.
But does he really? Because when he does defeat Sid, it's only afterwards when somebody goes, hey, what about Carter's daughter? And he's like, oh, fuck, yeah. That's what I was doing, not just getting my revenge.
Yes, but, okay, yeah, but look at that climactic fight. You know, they had to cut off all the phone lines to get Sid out of the way of the hostages. They fought their way all the way to the top of the roof. They had this massive shootout, and then stupidly, which I just thought that the director must have just been fucking on drugs at this point for this final fight. That it's just like, hey, let's surround the villain that heals through glass with glass.
Where is the girl?
He's all chopped up, lying in this pile of glass, and I'm like, yeah, we need to get him out of there because he's just going to start rejuvenating. And Parker just walks down like, hey, Sid. You know, and Sid starts rejuvenating, which was quite a cool special effect for 95. Yeah. But he just rips into the back of his head and pulls out that node.
Thanks to his cybernetic arm.
Thanks for cybernetic arm. And it's at that point where Daryl, who has been in hiding for all of this film, turns up at the end. Carter has taken him hostage, and she says, you know, and he says, well, now what are you going to do? And he does do that look like, oh shit, what am I going to do? But then it replays the ending. They go into VR and they convince Sid that he's won. And they just start asking him where the little girl is, and he shows them in VR where Dr. Carter's daughter is.
And it was right where they were to begin with.
Yeah, it was on the roof.
So now they've got to go all the way back to the roof.
Yeah.
To go and rescue her.
Yes.
But just to add, you know, just to keep the climax of the film going,
There's a bomb in
there's
there.
a bomb in there.
But which is Matthew Grimes' signature, you know, and that's why Parker knew not to open the door. I got a bit upset that William Forsythe got killed by Daryl, for fuck's sake.
You pulled a golf club out of fucking nowhere.
Was it a golf club?
That's
Like
exactly
it
what
looked
it
like
looked
a pipe.
like. Where would he find his pipe to?
He was in a laboratory. There's fucking pipes everywhere.
I would hope there wouldn't be loose pipes everywhere.
Well, you'd hope, but you'd also hope that he wouldn't release a fucking psychopathic serial killing computer into the fucking real world. And then we wouldn't have sat through this hour and 45-minute long movie. But at the end, Barnes stops the bomb, rescues the little girl, you know, and stands on the roof, looks badass, and the credits roll.
Well, he almost got his brain fried. I mean, you see this
Yeah,
pixelated diagram as we have these awful effects of Barnes falling through, I am a god! Exactly, and
the world.
all these Russell Crowe faces screaming, and I was like, this is awful to look at. And I'm watching these, these brain readings, and I'm like, he should be catatonic at this point, but of course
But he's the only man in the world who could stop.
Yeah, you can stop him and survive all of this harsh treatment in the VR world and get woken up and then throw his, microchip off the building, which survives the fall, but gets run over by a car.
Yeah, I don't understand why he just didn't stand on it.
Yeah.
It's Denzel, though. It's Denzel. Denzel's badass. I like Denzel.
So, just a couple of random bits of trivia for you before we get into favourite scenes. Did you recognise the Star Trek episode?
Oh, yes, that's the one where Kirk gets split into two, doesn't he? And it's the evil version of Kirk that wants to live.
The enemy within.
Yes.
And it was only at that point when I saw Kirk on screen and I was like, wow, Russell Crowe looks very similar to William Shatner. Also, when Sid 6.7 goes to go and kidnap the daughter on the radio,
Yeah.
the song that's playing is The Photograph Kills
Okay.
by the band 30 Odd Feet of Grunts, which is Russell Crowe's own band from Australia.
Nice. A little bit of trivia for you. Do you know what film Brett Leonard was in before he did Lawnmower Man?
No?
He played a clown in Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
I believe he played the performing clown on the street with the silhouettes.
Yeah.
But he was uncredited.
Still, he was in a great film. This film for me became a guilty pleasure just because of to me the two great leads and just the over the top stupidity of the movie. I really like the bit at the beginning when they're in the sushi shop. And Russell Crowe just pops up. He goes, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and just starts fucking shooting at the place. And I'm like, yes! Film's not even started, and it's just absolutely batshit crazy. You know, I can get past what Denzel's wearing. I can get past all those people eating that weird sushi. Just like, I couldn't tell if they were picking up and it was flying into their mouth.
It was just disappearing.
Yeah, it was just like, whoop. It just looked weird. But, you know, when he acted crazy, I'm like, yes, we're in a VR world. It's not futuristic. That's kind of good. I like the prison fight sequence with Parker Barnes. You know, it's set up that the security guards in the prison didn't like him. The prisoners didn't like him. And all he ever wanted to do was just sit in a hole and rot. You know, his family are dead. What else is this guy going to do? He's got nothing else. But they force him into this kind of really cool designed corridor and make him fight this fucking racist Nazi fucking bastard. Denzel Washington beats the shit out of him. I like that shit. I liked the birth sequence. It was stupid. There was a weird egg thing. Russell Crowe coming out nude and his face all reshaping. And then, you know, it was the part where he got the knife and he holds it up in the air and then he stabs himself in the...
He cuts his finger off.
Oh yeah, he cuts his finger off and then feeds it glass to get it to rejuvenate. You know, it just kind of set up that, here we go, he's got his form, he's completely batshit insane. You know, and that's all you need to know. I like the sequence where he's walking around the mall in the purple suit. To
song playing.
Yeah, to the Bee Gees. That was cool. I got behind that. Michael Buffer turning up. Let's get ready to rumble, ladies and gentlemen. And the fact Ken Shamrock's there as well in his pants. His pants were a bit too much. That's it.
You're ending on Shamrock pants.
Yeah.
If I had to pick a favourite scene, I guess for me there are no favourite scenes in the film, but the most memorable one would probably, if anyone ever reminded me of the film,
Kevin J. O'Connor.
The first thing that would come back to me would probably be him in that disco area with the symphony of screams mixed with the music. I was like, some parts of that's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Iain, would you recommend?
You know what? You go first.
No, is the simple response. Virtuosity was a chore to get through. I just kept getting hit in the face with the script. Awful and simple dialogue. It is, at best, a guilty pleasure. Because it's cheap, it's awful writing, it's simple and ugly effects, even just to the simple matte paintings in the background that are at a different perspective.
The city lights.
Yeah.
I noticed that.
I was just like, come on, this is so fucking cheap, it's insulting.
But it's 1995, people weren't looking in the background.
Stupid characters doing stupid things, a forced plot, otherwise just avoid this.
And you're losing your sense of humor.
I do recommend Virtuosity. I didn't think I would because when I wikied it and I saw the date of it when it was released and the actors behind it, I was just like, it's going to be fucking shit. This is a terrible film. Nobody's talking about it. I've never heard of it. You know, I don't even know why I'm going to sit down and review this film because it's just going to be a fucking pile of crap. And then I sat down and I enjoyed myself. And that was enough for me. I could get past the stupidity of the VR stuff. Fuck me, 4 years from that film going out, we would do the exact same thing with Matrix, and everybody would don a black coat and a pair of glasses and just want to get into the VR world. Well, Brett Leonard did it 4 years before with Denzel Washington. Russell Crowe, yeah, he is not the greatest actor in the world, Jesus Christ, but he runs less than Tom Cruise and can actually act sometimes. He was batshit crazy in this.
I will give
and
it that. He was very charismatic as the bad guy, and he was over the top. And at some points he did make me laugh, and that was when I pulled the parallels to Joker.
That's it, and that was for me. I'm like, yeah, parallels to Joker, I can get behind this. Denzel Washington. I really challenge myself nowadays with a Denzel Washington film to find out if the film is shit or is Denzel Washington's performance shit. And the more I watch, Denzel always outshines.
He always gives great performance, but the thing
always does.
Everyone else feels like a cartoon in this film whilst he's delivering, Denzel performance.
It doesn't matter. We're going up against that guy and William Forsythe. They're good back characters. Nurse Ratched doing her thing. She was good as well. Yeah, the whole Madison Carter damsel in distress stuff was fucking cliche, but so was Sandra Bullock in fucking Demolition Man, and we love Demolition Man. For me, this film is a guilty pleasure. It's from a rare time that films... You would walk into a video shop, you would see this film, you'd never seen it before, you'd pick it up, you'd take it home, you'd watch it. And that's it. If you've never seen Virtuosity before, watch it. It's fucking stupid. For me, it's up there with The Hidden.
Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.
Enjoying the show, Ed?